This is Matthew Cratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about how to deprogram yourself. The context for this advice is tailored to people living under late-stage fiat rot. If you're not currently living under late-stage fiat rot, for example, you're Venusian or a Martian, you can safely ignore this video. But the bad news, at least for the current inhabitants of Earth, is you're the product of a really fake and unhealthy and stupid culture, and your mind is the victim of years of government education and endless coordinated government, corporate, media psyops. Your body is probably the victim of fiat food and medical malpractice. Your identity is the victim of fiat culture, and you've grown up trusting institutions that you may not realize should no longer be trusted. Now, you can pretend it's otherwise, but at some point it's probably a good idea to begin to face reality like an adult. So the question is, how can you escape from this fiat matrix? Here's a non-exhaustive list, but first, be forewarned that this video will trigger some of you, maybe many of you, possible signs that you may be experiencing cognitive dissonance. You call me buddy and leave a condescending comment, extreme anger followed by a quick unsubscribe, accusing me of being a shill for either Biden or Trump or someone else, telling me I should stick to economics and Bitcoin since those are my areas of expertise. This is what always happens when I make a video like this, but I'm not really qualified to talk about Bitcoin and economics either. I'm an English major, so if you are a devout credentialist who needs to see university degrees before someone's allowed to talk about something, I'm really only qualified to talk about Anglo-American literary modernism and post-structuralism, which we could talk about at some point. So we'll go through a series of lessons here that may or may not help you deprogram yourself. Lesson number 1, understand that incentives drive everything, not truth, not science, not compassion for the people. I think it was Munger who said, show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. It may have been someone else. Here's, for example, an incentive program where if you get 75% of Anthem members to do something, you get a $125 bonus per vaccinated member. Many of you are probably not aware that this is behind a lot of what we saw over the past few years. And it may also explain certain surgeries which are extremely expensive, $100,000 to $150,000. I've heard estimates up to $1 million. This may explain some reason that people in the medical establishment may be behind movements like this. It's quite enlightening as well to follow the incentives when you realize all these corporate sponsors behind the American Diabetes Association, the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, etc. These don't look like the kind of sponsors you would want if you're trying to help people's health. Related lesson number 2, don't be mesmerized by the white lab coats or the suits or other trappings of authority. This is very easy to see when we look at past times, but it's a little bit more difficult to see when it's present. If we look at the past, we can see how ridiculous this medical advice was. As your dentist, I would recommend a certain kind of cigarette. Not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels. The guy in the white lab coat, another guy in a white lab coat. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. These were clearly people who understood how the human body worked. It just sort of appeared that 6 feet is going to be the distance. Sometimes a little more difficult to see it when it occurs contemporaneously. If you're upset right now, or even if you're not, please help to support my mission of growing this channel so that I can eventually get canceled and go out in a giant blaze of glory. And the way you can do that, you can help, is to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, suggestion for a future video, and share this video with a friend or family member. Related lesson number 3, 9 out of 10 dentists agree that Crest or Colgate or whatever it was is the best toothpaste. 97% of publishing climate scientists agree that humans are causing global warming and climate change. And 97% of priests agree that child sacrifice is necessary for a good harvest. What makes you think you know better what we should do with your child? You're not even a priest, so you should stop being selfish and hand over your kid. Nobody enjoys child sacrifice, but it's important to be pragmatic. Until we can transition to fully renewable child technology, we have to sacrifice your child, so you should stop being an extremist and hand over your child. I roll. So you're saying all the priests are wrong, or they're all part of some evil grand conspiracy, smirk, and you, just another peasant, are the only one who knows what should be done with your child. Lesson number 3, most government officials are clueless muppets. We have Bernanke saying that the subprime contagion is contained. We have Janet Yellen saying in 2017 that we would never see a new financial crisis in our lifetimes. We saw one just 3 years later. And then we have this muppet, Jared Bernstein, who is the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors under the Biden administration and can't seem to figure out basic economics about how they do money printing, as I'll play right now.
A lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to yeah, I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
Just to clarify, this is definitely not a deep fake. This is a real clip, and this is someone who's advising your president on economic policy today. Related lesson number 4, there are very few awake adult Homo sapiens in the world. Very, very few. Most people are this new species that's been created by modern governments called the sheeple, the ultimate government creation. Lesson number 5, the stated official reason is never the real reason. We have Colin Powell talking about WMD in Iraq, which were never found, though these WMD were indeed found by the US Army. Lesson number 6, when the government tells you that something will last 2 weeks, it will actually last for many years instead. We had the Iraq War mission accomplished about 15 years before it was actually accomplished and was lost. 15 days to do you know what, 3 months later, 2023, etc. Lesson number 5, the global economy is completely rotten from the foundation up. Fiat money is a gigantic scam. It's printed up by central banksters for free and used to fund the government, while you have to sit in traffic and a cubicle to earn it instead. They can just print it up for free. And then to add injury to insult, you get taxed when you earn, you get taxed when you spend, and when you breathe, and when you stop breathing and die, you get taxed one final time. I'll link to this video in the description notes below that talks about how fiat money, not Bitcoin, is the real psyop. So how to deprogram yourself? In summary, always pay attention to the incentives. I should add, never take financial advice from poor people, never take medical or nutritional advice from unhealthy people. Stop listening to the quote-unquote experts. Most of them have no idea what they're talking about and just represent a very narrow sliver of consensus that exists at the present moment that may not have ever existed before or after. Stop listening to the experts. Stop following quote-unquote the news. Learn to actually think for yourself instead of just repeating something that you read online this morning. Also, it's a really good idea to stop scrolling, read more things that were written 50, 100, 150 years ago, or even 1,000 years ago. You can learn a lot from that. Also, hang out with more Bitcoiners and other insane conspiracy theorists who somehow manage to be right about almost everything. And this is the most important thing. If you're an American, be sure to eat 6 to 11 servings of grains every day. The government knows what's best for you. The one exception would be if you're from the UK, you're going to have to use this pyramid with the beans and toast and the figgy puddings. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish the next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.